Welcome to another episode of First Blood, Nothing is Over, Part 4, the final part of First Blood, Nothing is Over. This is part of It's a Long Road, the Rambo series podcast journey, where I've rebooted, of sorts, the Rambo journey, the franchise journey, but this is the final part of First Blood. And I have with me today a very special guest, Brent. Brent, how you doing?
I'm doing awesome. How about yourself?
I'm doing very well. It's very good to meet you. Brent, you are the first of my 4 guests of this reboot who has actually been on the mic before, so to speak, on a podcast. Welcome to another podcast.
I love being on podcasts. It's a lot of fun, just meeting new people and being able to share stories and just life. And it's neat to be able to see these people in other states, other countries, and come together on certain love for, say, Rambo or whatever.
Awesome. And what's a podcast that you go on the regular, if you can plug it now if you'd like?
Yeah, sure. I'm a huge pro wrestling fan. I have been since I was a kid, and I met some guys, mainly, I guess, a little after COVID, and just once in a while, I'll pop in if they need somebody. I'll be like an alternate, or I'm always listening too. But that podcast, Dynamite Download.
Is it Dynamite Download? Is that what it's called?
Yeah.
Dynamite?
Yeah,
Okay.
so it's an AEW wrestling podcast, and it focuses on being positive about the shows and wrestling because there's so much negativity on social media, and it's not just wrestling, it's everything. So it's nice to go in there with a positive attitude about, we do criticism, like constructural criticism
Sure.
on the show and what we might like to see, but it's fun.
I like the positive angle. That's great. Yeah, there is a lot of negativity in the world in general, and I know pro wrestling has its controversies and
Yeah.
dark side of the issues. AEW, now I'm a bit of a wrestling, I wouldn't say, look, I'm old. I remember when Hogan was portrayed by Andre. I went to school talking to my friends. Can you believe it? Yeah, Andre
awesome.
we didn't even say the term heel back then. I wasn't in the know the way I am now, but Andre's the bad guy now. He's bad. And anyways, but speaking of Hogan, boy, talk about the troubles in his later life. That's what I find disappointing because he was my childhood wrestling hero. I admit, like, I was a Hulkamaniac, and now that I'm older and he's, of course, much older, it's sad to see sort of his life dovetail in his later years.
Same way with me. I was a Hulkamaniac growing up. I struggle with keeping his memorabilia that I've had. I love the memories, but I struggle with separating the man from the character. Can you really do that? Like, at this point, Hulk Hogan is Hulk Hogan. Terry Bollea, his real name,
Yeah,
he is Hulk Hogan. He's so gone in his character, and he's won court cases because he fought where Terry Bollea would do this, but Hulk Hogan would do that. It's a shame because his morals, and it felt like he was like a good person, like as a wrestler.
say your prayers, eat your vitamins.
But yeah, he was always talking about looking up to the big man upstairs. Yeah, it's sad. And so I struggle with, can I even like that character anymore?
Yeah, I think you said it best. It's the memories. You can just hold on to what it made you feel like as a child. There's no point destroying your own childhood memories just because maybe the person is very human and has made some great errors. I still like Michael Jackson music, despite some controversies. It is hard to separate the art from the artist. Hey, look, hopefully people enjoy my podcast. I'm actually an okay guy. I don't think I have any skeletons in my closet. So you don't have to worry. If you're a fan of my shows, don't worry. I won't let you down. Speaking of which, have you been listening to my Rambo coverage? I sent this invite out to the audience. I only assume people that listen or follow me on social media even knew that they could come on the show. Let me spoil Rambo 3 coverage in case anyone was wondering. So when Rambo 3 comes out, the 4 parts for that, I actually reached out to a podcast group of guys who did a Rambo 3 movie review, and I really liked all 4 of them, the way they covered it. I was like, man, they're all really cool about how they covered Rambo 3. So I actually sent them an invite, each one of them, to cover parts 1 through 4. So they didn't listen to my show. I think they listen to it now. So they were the only of the, so far, of the 5 films where they weren't listeners of my show. So how did you discover the Rambo podcast?
I think it was like last year. I don't know, it just popped up in my YouTube feed. And I
weird.
started listening to it. You posted that thing on Twitter with the questions. One day it popped up. I'm like, oh, Rambo questions. Nice. But I read them over and I'm like, I'm pretty sure I know like all of them. And the one I think I was not too sure about. I can't remember which one it was.
Cool. Look at that. Social media actually works.
The algorithm. Yeah. Because I do talk about Rambo something. Maybe, I don't know how, like,
maybe
Twitter, like this, or X or whatever, decides what they're going to show me at certain times. And a lot of times I don't, like, now I don't even see like people I want to see.
Yeah. It is interesting how the algorithm works. We all know now smartphones record your dialogues with your friends or yourself, your search engines. So it will suggest things in the algorithm. So thankfully the algorithm worked. A few people have started listening to the show on YouTube just from the algorithm. So that is great. It does work because I don't pay for anything. It's all organic growth, you could say. So it's a very small podcast, but I do appreciate anyone that takes a listen, and I appreciate your time coming on the show, Brent. So what is your overall fandom of, we'll start with just Sly the Man. Do you have a fandom of Sylvester Stallone? Are you a fan of his films?
It's a weird story. As a wrestling fan, Hulk Hogan, I didn't even think to tie Hogan with any of this. But so huge Hogan fan growing up, right? And I get into wrestling around 91. So I missed the Andre stuff, but I'm one of those crazy people that I'm going to the video store. I'm renting all the WrestleManias.
Sure.
I'm researching. I'm getting magazines. So Hogan's in Rocky 3, right? So I definitely have to get Rocky 3, watch it. And then I just fall in love with the story. So I have to watch all the Rockies. So that was in the early 90s. In the late 90s, my buddy, I was down at his house, we were hanging out, and he's like, dude, First Blood's on TV. And I'm like, what's that? And he's like, it's Rambo. And I'm like, oh, Rambo? Running around, killing people. I did not see any Rambo movies growing up. I knew of the cartoon when I was a kid and the, sure. and the figures, but I figured he was just like this war machine running around, just like action, maybe like a commando a little bit, because sure. I seen Schwarzenegger. I just wasn't too interested in the character. And then he's, no, dude, it's not like that. First Blood is, you just have to watch it. So I'm like, nah, okay. So we sat there watching it. After it, I was like, holy cow, this story is insane. It opened a lot of doors for me, just with the Vietnam War. And then I just wanted to research more about the author, David Morale. And I just got into this crazy Rambo kick, which I'm still on. I think this was around 97, 98-ish.
Okay.
I couldn't find the VHS of any Rambo movies for sale.
Yeah, that makes sense. That tracks. VHS was pretty much getting buried around then.
It was in between people who owned it, whether the studios, I'm not really sure how that works. Probably somebody owned the license and they were waiting to re-release it on another format, or I would have to wait for the TV guide. And I'm like, when's First Blood coming back? I'm like, every week. Because I had to see it again, and we would go rent it at the store. I remember we'd be at a party, and we have to go because First Blood's on at 11 p.m. tonight.
That's awesome. Before the days of streaming, young children who are listening to this podcast, what are you guys talking about? You had to wait to watch a show? Yeah. You have to wait.
Think about that. If you were serious about shows, you had to base your life around when, because if you missed it, you didn't know if they were going to do a rerun on it. They would do it in the summer or something. So it's
3 months. Yeah.
And they did put that stuff out on a lot on the seasons with VHSs and stuff.
The grind was real back in the day, folks.
And then eventually what happened was Artisan got the license in the late 90s. And then I was able to get 1, 2, and 3 on VHS. A couple years later, DVDs hit it big. And I also went and read, I have actually right here, I think this is a first print of the paperback. I think this came out in 73. And I had got this on eBay because I couldn't find this anywhere because it was out of print at the time. And then later on, I think in 2000, I wanted to get a beater copy that I could take around with me to read again.
Oh, that's nice. Awesome.
David Morale wrote a book on Rambo 2, which I have. I actually got that book first because I couldn't find the original one.
Oh, weird. Okay.
So I got Rambo 2 because in the beginning it says like, in the book, Rambo dies. In the movie, he lives.
I love how David did that, where he's like, okay, I get it. Yes. This is the novelization of the Rambo character as he would continue after the films. He dies in the book, but he lives in the movies. He really did us a great job. I can't highly recommend the first 3 books, actually, Rambo's 1 through 3. Morale does a novelization of. He didn't do any for 4 or 5, of course, for various reasons. But yeah, and check out my interview with David Morale, folks, if you haven't already. I think it's the first episode of this podcast, so check it out. I got to interview David, and he was very forthcoming with some stories. And I believe, if you haven't heard it yet, he shared with me stories he's never shared with her by his own admission. He's never shared before in an interview. I got out of him. I Oprah'd him. I don't know. Maybe. I'm not sure. But he felt comfortable sharing some stories with me that he's never shared before. Okay, great. So that's awesome. Have you seen parts 4 and 5? Do you enjoy those at all? Or okay, yeah.
Oh, I think 4 is really good. It's one of the goriest movies, at least that I've watched in general. But I like the story there. I love the Troutman montage.
Yeah.
They have a lot of good parts. Now, the fifth one, I'm not a huge fan of.
Sure.
One of the main reasons is I'm not down with Rambo having short hair.
That's a flaw that we brought up. Was had he just had longer hair, I think the star rate in IMDb might have gone up 1 or 2. Honestly, it's weird.
Like I try not to be like that, but as the character, he's wearing a cowboy hat. As a movie, just with Stallone in it, if you would have called it something else, you could have.
I know.
You could have took some of it, and it also reminded me of like Home Alone. He's at his house at the end with all these booby traps. So it's hard. I've only watched it once. I have it on Blu-ray. I saw it in the theater the first day it came out, and I don't hate it. I just don't like it as a Rambo movie.
It's tough that way. I think a second viewing is less jarring. I think you might enjoy it a little bit more on a second viewing. But I agree. A couple things you could fix with that movie. A very quick fix. Have him keep the longer hair, even gray it out a little bit.
Yeah.
It would be cool if he had a longer hair with a bit of a beard. I think he would have looked more like gnarly. So I think that would have been a good aesthetic. So I think people would have been pumped for that. They should have killed his whatever granddaughter, whatever the relationship was. Not really granddaughter, but the girl. If she was killed like at the ranch, maybe, or in that area, and then he went to their Mexico hideout and killed them there, I think that would have been his own personal Vietnam in Mexico. If he'd done the killing in Mexico, I think that would have been cooler to see, and have him sneak back and forth on the border, kind of like a reverse immigration issue, like he sneaks into Mexico. I think that would have been more aesthetically pleasing for the viewer to have him destroy their unit there than his own home. Then he goes back and the rest is at home instead of having his home destroyed. So I think if you just reverse that, have the final match in Mexico and have him with the long hair and a beard, I think the rating would have gone up. Yeah.
Geez, you should have wrote the movie. Just that architect right there. It's wow. And that just makes sense.
I'm certainly not a genius, but I know fans do this all the time. And I don't know why studios don't have a fan, like even a nerd consultation group. Honestly, people who are hardcore, whatever, whether you're Trekkies, Star Wars, Rambo, Rocky, whatever, like a core focus group of like nerds who are absolutely fanatical about your product, who speak for the kingdom of people who are going to buy tickets or DVDs or games, and just say, what is it you hope to see? You could say to the focus group, we're going to cut Rambo's hair, and watch their responses. If every single one of them, the group goes, oh, you would have to expect that maybe the audience would feel the same way. So I don't know why they don't do focus groups before they go in production.
They changed the end of First Blood because they had a screening. Do they still do that? I don't think they do.
So they do focus groups, but it's after production's almost done. So yeah, they have you can go on YouTube. We said it before on the show. Yes, you go on YouTube. You can see the scene of Rambo shooting himself. He takes Troutman's gun and shoots himself in the gut. He commits suicide. The screen audience was like, oh, that might be in the book, but we ain't happy with that. And so they changed it. And it works better for the film, and they got a franchise out of it. So I don't know why they don't do pre-focus groups. Maybe they do, but I never hear it advertised. Kind of like, this is what we plan on doing with the characters, especially with beloved franchises. I guess you can't really do it for original stories. I understand that. But for a franchise, like a James Bond, for example, here you go. Here's a James Bond reboot's coming, right? We're going to make James Bond I don't know, I'm not going to say anything controversial. Just think of whatever is not James Bond. And you tell that to the focus group. If they all go, oh, that's a great, fascinating new idea, then hey, you've got something. But if they go, no, could we just have James Bond swirling martinis and smoking cigars and banging a woman and killing bad guys? Maybe stick with that. Don't overcomplicate what the fans want to see. I don't know why studios, don't they want to make money?
I know, right?
Don't you want to make money? The audience is happy. Check. You make money. Check. Why is that not win-win for everyone? Why complicate matters? I don't understand. I don't know. Anyways, okay. So you've seen this movie a few times and you're able to do some trivia?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. We're going to see how you do it. Just so you know, I don't know if you heard the last episode 3 of this, but I got perfect. I got 10 out of 10.
Wow.
The questions were a little bit easier, mind you. However, for the record, I think maybe my guests are still beating me. I haven't tallied the score yet, and a better podcaster would have the tally ready so I could actually announce who the winner is between the guests and me, because this is the final episode of First Blood. But maybe what I'll do is at the beginning of the next episode, for like part 2, I'll announce who won between myself and the guests. How did Delmare Barry die? All right. It's funny, you could cheat. You could always just say his heart stopped beating. I always say that. Everyone, at the end of the day, your heart stops beating. I've got the answer for this. Now, that woman who's on the clothesline talking to Rambo, talking about Delmare, first question I have for you. Is that Delmare's mother or his wife?
question.
It's a funny age because she's a funny age.
Yeah.
Rambo's a funny age, and so if that's Delmar's wife, she looks a little bit older than maybe Delmar. It doesn't mean Delmar can't marry an older woman. I like to believe it's his mother because she's a little bit older, yes, and there's kids running around, and you could just argue that Delmar joined the Vietnam War at 18, which is very common, 18, 19 years old, and he'd only be like 24, 25 at this point. Rambo's 30, let's say 32, which is fair as well. Even though the books he was younger, so there you go. In the books, I think he was 26 or 7. That was probably Delmar's mother, and that might have been younger siblings.
I don't know if I ever really thought of it, but I was trying to think about when I first saw it in my brain, who I thought that was. And I'm thinking it was his mother.
Okay, so you're going with mother as well. Yeah. I think for the longest time when I was younger, like when I was obviously saw this movie as a kid and a teenager, I envisioned that was his wife because everyone's older in my mind. Yeah. So that's his wife that was talking, her husband. They got married and had a couple of young kids. But as I got older and I'm recognizing age and patterns and timelines, I'm like, no, I don't think that quite makes sense. Now, the woman who plays the wife or mother, we don't even know her name. You know why we don't know her name?
She's not in the credits, right?
That's right.
Yeah.
Did you know that before?
I did, and I'm trying to think if I heard it from one of your podcasts or somewhere else, but I heard that.
You better say it's from my podcast.
Yeah.
Now. There's no other podcast. No, I'm just joking. Yeah.
No.
Yeah, she's not even in IMDb. Like her character is not in IMDb. I have some insider information for you.
Wow. Nice.
Yeah. I've got context. Okay. I've got people in the know. Okay. So Brian McKinney, I'm sure he won't mind me mentioning him. I actually interviewed him on my podcast. He runs the Hope, British Columbia Tourism, where, of course, First Blood was filmed. He's like the ultimate tour guide of the Rambo or First Blood filming locations in Hope. He's a resident of Hope. I think he's been a resident there his whole life. I think he was there when the film was filmed. He is the ultimate. He should kill this trivia stuff. In fact, I should have had him on, but I think he honestly would just kill it. They run First Blood, the film, in their tourist room like 24/7. Like it's always on.
Wow.
Yeah,
Nice.
And, so he's fantastic. I've been there. I actually got my picture
really?
with. Yeah, I'm in Ottawa, Canada right now, and I'm from Victoria, British Columbia. So I'm in the military, and I'm here just for a few years. So when we drove across Canada to come to this, as the Americans call it, I'm stationed here, but in Canada we call it posted. So I'm stationed here for 3 years. When we drove across Canada, yeah, we made a stop in Hope. Brian was actually on vacation in Europe, so I never got to meet him. And funny enough, I know the time is hilarious. I think when we go back in 2026, we'll be able to meet each other. But I interviewed him because they did a big 40th anniversary for First Blood, and I got to interview him for that. Anyways, so he's in the know. So I messaged him on Facebook. We're friends on Facebook. And I'm like, dude, who is the woman that played Delmare Barry's wife or mother on First Blood? He goes, I do have a mini bio on her. So this is all credit to Brian, but you're hearing it first publicly. Here we go. Drum roll. She's a Vancouver, British Columbia, Canada actress. Her name is Thelma Towns Gibson. So I think her maiden name might have been Towns and her married name was Gibson. She played, here, you ready? Delmare Barry's widow.
Wow.
That's his widow, according to this. She lived, check this out, from September 5th, 1928 to November 6th, 2021. She died at the age of 93. Lived a full life. Are you Googling her name right now?
No, I'm just
okay.
I'm just taking notes just for my personal use.
Oh, no, it's fine. The first thing I did was I Googled her name. And
okay.
It's crazy. She doesn't even exist on IMDb at all. Isn't that weird? One of the remaining mysteries to this day is that she was never credited in the movie. He says, I've heard different theories as to why, but nothing has been confirmed. That's it.
Wow.
I wrote back and said, dude, spill the tea on the theories. I've waited years. And this guy checks his messenger every 6 months. So he's one of those guys. I love you, Brian. Some people just don't check their messages, bless their heart. So like I sent him a message like 2 months previous or something. He finally goes, oh, I'm sorry, I didn't check it. I was like in the conversation with him. He basically hung up the phone. But we have a name. Again, it's Thelma. People can Google this. And you can see a picture of her, lovely woman. She was some sort of a dancer or like a theater actress, I think. Her obituary is actually on Facebook. No mention of her acting career in the Rambo film. Again, he's heard different theories as to why, but nothing was confirmed. But I want to know what those theories are. I want some tea spilled. Do you have any theories as to why? Why do you think she wasn't credited? She doesn't have one IMDb credit. So that tells you that might have been her first and only movie role, and she killed it. Isn't this a fascinating piece of trivia? Even though now that we have a name, it's even more fascinating.
Maybe it was just by accident at that time. Maybe they just overlooked it. It got lost in, and who knows how she got paid, or if like with royalties and stuff. I wonder if she was even getting anything, or maybe she did it as maybe she did it as a favor.
Just so you know, she is in the area. Like, she's from Vancouver, so her being around Hope, she's geographically only an hour and a half or 2 hours away from the filming location.
Oh, wow. That's even weirder then. I'll just give you a quick example. My son, not so much more, he's 14, but he's done small roles in things. And we actually did a show on Peyton Manning's show, Peyton's Places.
Okay.
It's ESPN3 streaming show. He got the part where he just played a kid in line on the John Madden bus, and he asked the driver if he could play the John Madden game on the bus. But I was just there just taking them, and they're like, hey, Dad, do you want to hold the turkey behind him? And I'm like, sure, I'll be in the show. Yeah, so I got to hold the turkey behind him, but I got paid $250, and I would have done it for free. But the NFL, I guess, had to send it to me.
Contract, probably some sort of, they have to legally or something.
My son, he has an IMDb page, and he has, I think, 2 credits to it, but that's not one of them.
The fact that not only she nailed the role, like it's a small role, but she nailed the role. The way she handled that clothesline, and she says how Delmare died and what got him, and you would think she was like a seasoned actress, but she has nothing on IMDb.
Wow, yeah, that's pretty wild. She's one of the third characters we see? It's either second or third, right?
Yeah.
It's a huge part. It sets the tone. You hear the music kick in, and you feel it because Rambo's he's happy. He's I finally find some peace. I get to see my buddy. We get to hang out and talk. And then he finds out he's just hands over the picture, and like the whole mood just is whoa.
They're the first speaking part. Is the two of them. Yeah. They're the first speaking part. Yeah.
It's just wild to think. And too, living close to there, they could have used her there, and like in a museum, or like she could go talking about her experiences.
Nothing on YouTube, nothing anywhere. There is nothing. You Google her name, you would never know. You can't even Google who played. I don't think you can. Try it right now if you want, but you can't even Google who played Delmare Barry's widow. She's not an IMDb. You can't find her. So I had to get that information from like a literal resident of the area to get her name.
It's kind of weird though, like how like stuff gets kind of lost during time until someone starts to like you. Geez, this is awesome.
I thought you'd enjoy that.
Yeah.
I'm gonna see what Google comes up with because I'm sure I did it. So there is a Rambo wiki. Let's go to that right here. I've been trying to look her up to see who she is. She's not even in any credits. Why is that? She had a speaking role. I thought this whole time she was his mother. There you go.
Yeah.
She's a little bit older to be his wife. People are asking why was she so abrupt and rude to Rambo, but let's see if anyone got the name here. I might be the first one, thanks to Brian, to break the name. I think I'm the first. The fact that people on the wiki aren't even commenting on who her name is. So right here, Mrs. Barry's first seen when John Rambo heads to his buddy from Vietnam, Delmare Barry's house in Washington State. The woman who played Mrs. Barry is as of now unknown. Oh no! No way, Fandom Wiki. Someone change it, update it, credit my podcast.
Check this out. Delmare Barry's widow in First Blood 1982 was played by Sylvia Benton. She appears briefly at the beginning of the film when John Rambo visits Delmare's home and learns from her that Delmare has died from cancer caused by Agent Orange.
Sylvia Benton?
Yeah.
There is no Sylvia Benton actress. There's nobody by that name. ChatGPT pulled that out of their butt.
Her name was Sylvia Benton and served in the Women's Army Corps during World War II.
What?
Yeah, that's weird. The chat. Who knows? Maybe I found a bug.
She was a black officer or military member. That's funny that ChatGPT just picked a real person out of the world who happened to be black and served in the military. It said, yeah, that's who played the woman of First Blood.
That's really wild, isn't it?
It just goes to show you that you shouldn't always trust these LLM or large language models. There you go, folks. ChatGPT is wrong. Brian McKinney is correct. If you actually Google right now, Thelma Towns Gibson, and it's Towns Towns, so Thelma Towns Gibson, you'll see her. She should be like in a black and white, wearing like a theater dress of some sort. And I'll post her picture on the YouTube right now for those who want to see it.
I just asked ChatGPT. I asked it if Thelma Towns Gibson was in First Blood, and I'm unable to find any information about an actress named Thelma Towns Gibson.
She's not credited as an actress. It's crazy, but if you Google her photo, it's her. The same woman in the movie.
And now it's telling me that the character of Delmare Barry's widow is portrayed by Sylvia Kay, not an actress by name. They're just like making stuff up.
Okay, so here she is here.
Yeah, that's definitely her. Yeah.
Right there. And that's from her Facebook page, Remembering Thelma Towns Gibson. You can see that's her. That's the same woman. That is her. Yeah. And there she is there at younger years.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's beautiful.
Right here. Thelma. Yeah, she's lovely. And that's her there. So Thelma Towns, married name was Gibson, obituary, Vancouver Sun. See, from Vancouver.
Yep.
If you click on the article, she had a stepfather named Sylvester.
Wow.
Internationally acclaimed and celebrated. She had a gift for teaching others and was generous in sharing her many talents in the performing arts. So she was in the arts. And you could tell that she was an actress of sorts, of stage, maybe not of screen. There you go. That's her. You can see that's the same actress right there.
Definitely.
Yep. So there you go, folks. We cracked the code thanks to Brian. You heard it first on the It's a Long Road, the Rambo Series podcast. So if you're listening to this, you even know more that we couldn't even do in our searches with the name, mind you, let us know and send us an email or whatever. But even Brian McKinney, nobody who knows more about First Blood than Brian, I assure you. That's why I knew he would have the answer. You know the boy that Rambo gets in the woods?
Yeah.
I think he might be credited. I can't remember, but he's never been in anything else as well. And Brian says he's going to try to track him down for me, see if I can get him an interview.
Wow, that'd be so cool.
Yeah. Okay. Wow. This is probably the longest we've ever talked for the first question, but that's okay. That's why we do this.
Yeah.
You know,
the deep dive. That's great.
That's what we do on the show. This is the kind of the final. I'm not doing it anymore. So it's, hey, this is the last time to talk about Delmare Barry's widow. So now we have there too, guys. It's the widow. Doesn't make sense. Oh, hey, you know what? That's fine. He can marry an older woman. That's fine.
Yeah.
That's fine. Yeah. All right. What gas station brand is seen as Rambo is walking into hope? Okay, I think I have an idea. I've got two guesses, but I have to go with my gut with the one. Not for points. I'm going to put my second guess, but I'll only credit myself to the first one. Okay. What are all the names of Rambo's friends in the picture with Delmare? Oh, because remember, he's talking to the widow, and he's, that's me there with...
Yeah. And he's so big, he takes up the whole back.
Yeah. Oh, I think I've got one name.
I was just thinking about this like a couple weeks ago, too. I thought to myself, could I name them all?
That was hard. That was hard. My co-host at the time, he did a good job with naming most of them, actually. Yeah, I'm going to take a mulligan on this one. I can't even remember their name. I know there's a Baker team, I think. That's all I remember.
Oh, yeah.
I have a hard time with the names. All right, here's a 50-50. True or false? When Teasel asks Rambo what direction he is heading, does he answer north? True or false?
This was actually one of the questions that you asked on the Twitter post. It wasn't true or false. It asked if it was north or south, I think. Because that's one I was like not 100% sure. But I got it right. I'll get it wrong this time.
When Teasel asks Rambo what direction he is heading, hey, Rambo, what direction are you heading? Does Rambo answer north or does he say south? So basically, what does he say? I replayed the scene in my head. Oh, here we go. Can you quote the Troutman speech when he is talking to Teasel about Rambo being the best?
Oh, I could do it right now, probably. I'm going to see if I can pull it off.
I'm terrible with quotes.
It's one of my favorite. I don't know if I could get it exact, but I think I could get it pretty close.
We'll take pretty close. What is Rambo's call sign? Oh, okay. Yeah, I got it. All right.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I got it. Nice.
What is the sheriff's friendly advice to Rambo?
Oh, yeah, I know.
Yeah. Rambo lets a teenager escape. Oh, yeah, we talked about this. That kid. Do you ever watch Bloodsport? Yeah. Do you ever watch Bloodsport?
I've seen it, but it's probably been like 25 years.
Okay, there's a scene at the very beginning when Frank Dukes, played by Jean-Claude Van Damme, is remembering his childhood, and they steal the sword.
Uh-huh.
And there's a kid actor who's playing the young Jean-Claude Van Damme, and the baseball hat is cut by the sword. The bill of his cap is cut, that kid actor. This is funny. That's the only movie that guy's ever been in. Was that movie playing a young Jean-Claude Van Damme? So I always chalk up him with this kid in the Rambo Forest scene or First Blood Forest scene. This is funny how both these kid actors in big films, that's the only stuff they've ever done. They weren't necessarily small parts. It's just weird how you do a movie in once, that's all you ever do. I always find that weird. When it's not necessarily a small role. Like you actually have a speaking part. And yeah. The kid that played young Jean-Claude Van Damme is one of the worst acting in a movie you've ever seen. That might be why he never went on to other things. Do you not remember the scene at all? You go Google it.
I don't. I will, yeah.
Because you'll be reminded how bad he acts in it. And there was a Facebook page, fan page made for the actor out of what do you call it, like a bit of a goof.
Yeah.
There's like a big fan page. It literally is just all the pictures you can get, frames you can get from the one scene. And it's kind of a goof on that one scene. Okay. So Rambo lets the teenager escape from the forest. What does the teenager's hat say? Oh, I don't know.
Oh, man.
What could they even possibly say in 82? When sitting at the bar, what did Troutman tell Teasel his and Rambo's orders were in Vietnam? Yeah. And guys, here we go. This is exciting. The last question for First Blood. Nothing is over. Part 4. What type of gun is in the back of the truck that Rambo steals?
I love that scene. I got no beef with you. That's a good question. What's that guy's name? The guy who's driving the truck, because he asks him his name, and then he's
okay. Robert A. Does he go Robert?
Yeah,
A?
something like that. He's now get out. He's I don't got no beef with you, man.
And then Sly does that weird. I don't know quite what he says there. There's two scenes in First Blood where he does that kind of. Because Robert A. doesn't get out of the truck, and then Sly playing Rambo goes. Throws him out. My other favorite little scene from Sly was when he's on the motorcycle driving down the sidewalk.
Does that weird thing with the mouth.
I love it. He's yelling at people to get out of the way, but the way he does it is hilarious.
That's the kind of little stuff that I chuckle too over. You watch it so many times and you start picking out these like little funny scenes that make the movie even better.
You can only get it on multiple viewings is when you start to see the little idiosyncrasies, as they say. Yeah. Okay. All right. There we go. So Delmare Barry's widow. It's official. It's the widow. How did Delmare Barry die?
I got cancer from Agent Orange.
Bingo. Yep. I got it as well.
Oh, that's stuff that they were spraying in Vietnam. I think that's what she said. Something like that.
She goes out and goes, something to the bone. Got him to the bone. What did he?
I could pick him off the sheets.
Yeah, I could pick him off the sheets. The way she says it so quickly, it almost sounds like she says, I couldn't pick him off the sheets. Yeah, I could pick him off the sheets. And then she goes, to the bone. I forget what the word was before the bone. Yeah.
Cancer ate him to the bone. I think.
Was that was? Cancer ate him to the bone?
I think that's something like that, yeah.
Delmare's gone.
What time will he be back?
He died.
What?
Died last summer.
Died how?
Cancer. Brought it back from Nam. All that orange stuff, they spread it around. Cut him down to nothing. I could lift him off the sheet.
All right, next 132. What gas station brand is seen as Rambo is walking into Hope?
Yeah, usually at that time I was picturing like a big circle, so I'm thinking Gulf.
Okay. Now, I don't know if they have this brand in the States. That's why.
Oh.
Because it's filmed, of course, in British Columbia. It's supposed to be Washington State, but I got both brands wrong. I wrote Shell, and then my second guess was Chevron. It's Esso, E-S-S-O. Yeah, it's a Canadian gas company.
Yeah.
Fuel company.
I don't even remember seeing it in the...
Yeah, I would have gotten Robert A.
Yeah, dude, that's impressive.
What are the names of all of Rambo's friends in the picture with Delmare? Do you have any names?
I do have some. Let's see. I might have got them wrong, but Ortega.
Yep.
Okay, we got now this one. I'm not sure. Bronson.
Yep.
Okay, Coletta.
No. Keep going.
Okay, Jorgensen.
No.
Danforth.
Yep.
Okay, those are the only ones I have down.
That's good. You got 3 of the 6, including Rambo, which I know, of course, Rambo's in it.
That's me, That's Danforth and Westmore, Bronson, Ortega, and there's Delmare right in the back. We had to put him in the back because he's so big. If we didn't, he'd take up the whole picture. Look how big he is.
So you got 3 of the 5 minus Rambo, so that's not bad. Westmore and Delmare himself.
Yeah, okay.
I had 0. I couldn't, obviously Rambo. I didn't even bother putting Rambo and Delmare because that's too obviously, but I couldn't remember the friends that were there. So you nailed the other 3: Danforth, Bronson, Ortega. The only one you missed out of Rambo and Delmare was Westmore. Okay.
Oh wow.
I almost put Charlie again. I keep thinking Charlie, but as my co-host reminded me at the time, that's who they were fighting. I'm like, oh yeah.
Yeah.
All right, here we go. True or false? When Teasel asks Rambo what direction he is heading, Rambo answers north.
True.
Headed north or south?
North.
Yes, I wrote true. I guess I get so mixed up.
Yeah.
Especially true or false.
Yeah.
I know the whole debate is it's north and south, but I keep forgetting which is the right answer.
I think what's hard about it is he says north, and then we don't find out till like maybe minutes or
Portland is south.
Yeah, yeah.
That's a funny scene. I talked about it when we covered that scene. It's funny when Teasel says that. The way Sly/Rambo does this, he goes, he silently says it, but it's just barely audible. But you see his mouth make the no. He goes like this. He goes, no. Yeah. It's such a weird moment of acting. We have a couple theories. Is that now because Teasel says Portland is south. You said you were going north, but Portland is south. So I think he ends on the Portland is south. I think.
Yeah.
And then Rambo says no, but I don't know what Rambo's saying no to. That Portland isn't south, that he didn't say north. It's such a weird thing to say no to. Like, Rambo, you're wrong. Either way, you're wrong, but you're wrong on 2 fronts. One, you got the direction wrong, like of where Portland is. Portland is south. I think the sheriff might know where Portland is in relation to his town. And 2, you said north. So it's funny that Rambo goes, no. Now, what we have a theory is that there's a much longer print of the film. And however it was edited, they kept that in there after that statement by the sheriff, because whatever happened afterwards, it was too much or whatever, that he's saying no to something else. Maybe another part of the conversation that we don't see in the car, because it's a weird response to, but it makes me like, go watch it, folks. You'll see what it's just, again, idiosyncrasies. The way he responds to that is the way Duke goes, no. Okay.
It's so funny. I thought the same thing. I think most people look it over, like you said, if you're not watching more than one. But yeah, is he confused? Did he think it was south?
Yeah. Is he confused about the answer that he gave the sheriff, or is he confused about where Portland is?
Portland is, yeah.
Or is he just not wanting to talk about any of this? Maybe he's no, I don't want to talk about this. But he didn't say that. He just says the word no, which doesn't make sense. Yeah. It would have been better if he just said whatever. Yeah. That would have, then it makes more sense. Whatever. Okay, fine, whatever. Yeah. Okay, here we go. This is your time to shine, my friend. As much as you can, quote the speech when Troutman is talking to Teasel about Rambo being the best. You don't seem to want to accept the fact
that you're dealing with an expert in guerrilla warfare, a man who's the best, with guns, with knives, with his bare hands, a man trained to ignore pain, ignore weather, to live off the land, to eat things that would make a billy goat puke. His job in Vietnam, to kill, to win with attrition.
Good. That's great. You nailed the first part almost to a T. In Vietnam, his job was to dispose of
any weapon, personnel, to kill. To
period.
Win. Oh, that's right.
Period. I love the way Troutman are win by attrition. Now, Rambo was the best.
You don't seem to want to accept the fact that you're dealing with an expert in guerrilla warfare. With a man who's the best. With guns, with knives, with his bare hands. A man who's been trained to ignore pain, ignore weather, to live off the land, to eat things that'll make a billy goat puke. In Vietnam, his job was to dispose of enemy personnel, to kill, period. Win by attrition. Well, Rambo was the best.
I love that scene. And what do you think of Credit's acting overall in that film?
Dude, he's so good. The more and more I watch it, even in the other 2 Rambo films, there's just so many great one-liners, quick responses. Oh, man, I'm so glad that they went with him.
Do you ever watch the original Halloween films?
I haven't. I remember seeing the H2O in the late 90s.
Oh, geez. Okay, well, okay.
I'm not a big horror guy.
Fair enough. I was just going to say, for any of our listeners, I'm sure there's a few who enjoy the Halloween films, so this might not spark much for you, but maybe for my listeners. there's a character played by Donald Pleasance. I forget his name. Funny enough, I remember the actor's name, Donald Pleasance. But he reminds me of the character that he plays, because Michael Myers is a killing machine. Rambo is a killing machine. And Troutman is a mind, even though he's the one that sort of molded Rambo, but he's the mind that understands Rambo, can communicate with Rambo. Well, that's the same with the doctor, the psychiatrist that knows Michael Myers, the killer. They both are very good actors in this. This is funny because Donald Pleasance is a very good theatrical type actor. Crenna is the same way. And both characters and actors have the same representation in the film. They speak the mind of the silent killer.
Wow, yeah.
Yeah, look at that, folks. Tell me if any other podcast has done that. Has it made Halloween and Rambo comparisons? Okay. All right. People are like, yeah, but no one's done that, Ryan, because it's idiotic. I'm like, okay, fair enough.
Oh,
all right.
Great.
Okay, what is Rambo's call sign?
Raven?
Covey leader calling Raven. Come on, Raven. Covey leader calling Raven. Covey leader to Raven. Talk to me, Johnny.
Yep.
I love it that he's talk to me, Johnny.
Yeah, I love that. What is the sheriff's friendly advice to Rambo?
I remember him saying, you walking around wearing that flag, but then he says, I think, take a bath.
Yep. And?
A haircut.
There you go.
Right? Yeah.
Then you'll avoid trouble.
If you want some friendly advice, a haircut and take a bath. You wouldn't get hassled so much. Hope this ride helped you out.
If you haven't heard it or it's been a while, go check out again the interview with David Morrell. But he talked about that. That was actually really a thing back then. They actually forced people to get haircuts back then.
Oh, yeah. What I always kind of was confusing, is he saying about wearing the flag because he looks dirty? Or I would think seeing it, you'd be like, oh, were you a soldier? Was he misrepresenting the army?
Yeah, I think the flag might have been more representation to the uniform. Basically, you're wearing the sports team. You're advertising that you're a Vietnam vet. So you're wearing you have a flag on a uniform jacket. I know wearing that flag, even the sheriff, I think they had flags on their uniforms, but they're wearing police uniforms. Yeah. So the idea, I think the wearing that flag, not the best written dialogue for maybe people that don't understand. I think the idea is you're wearing that uniform around town, showcasing that you were part of a war that nobody was a big fan of. Yeah. You might get harassed, i.e. me, I'm harassing you.
Because I knew kids when I was in middle school, high school would wear military garb. And it was more like a line of a respect. And that's why I was like a little confused when I first saw it. And then I figured what you just said, but it's interesting to me, though.
Neither one of us got the next one right. I'll tell you right now, if you get this next one right, I'll send you $1,000 right now.
I put the NRA.
NRA. It was a BF Goodrich liner light.
Wow. BF Goodrich, they make tires, don't they?
BF Goodrich line light, owners Michelin, country is the US. So we have companies in Canada, or whatever you call it. Yeah, they're American. What did Troutman tell Teasel his and Rambo's orders were in Vietnam?
I believe he says, when in doubt, kill.
Yep.
It can get confusing sometimes. In Vietnam, you can bet that Rambo and I got pretty confused. We had orders. When in doubt, kill.
Don't take that advice when you're at your work, folks. If you're in doubt, don't just start killing people at work, even though you might feel like it at times. I'm in doubt right now. Kill. Okay. Last question. What type of gun is in the back of the truck that Rambo steals?
A whole lot of M16s.
Is it M60 or M16? The one gun that he pulls out the back.
Oh, I don't know. M16.
Oh, it's M60.
What's your name?
Cathcart, Robert A.
All right. What do you got in the back, Robert A?
M60.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, M16. They're the smaller, right? Like you would.
Okay.
The machine guns, but the big ones that they carry that should be mounted on the back of vehicles, that's the bigger guns that you don't really carry around. But of course, Rambo does. That's the higher number 60. It just means it's a larger caliber bullet comes out of there. So yeah, M60. Okay. So what is your overall score?
I guess I missed that one, right?
You missed that one.
I don't know. Do you give partial points to the
quote?
Right.
You killed the quote. You killed the quote, and you got the most names, so you get the point for that.
Okay, so I got that. So I missed number 2 with the gas sign.
Yeah.
Yeah, and 8.
7. I think you
Yeah,
got 7.
7.
Yeah.
7 out of 10. Yeah.
So I missed 1, 2, 3, 4. So I got 6 out of 10. So you beat me. How does it feel to beat the host? That was fun. Thank you so much for coming on. And I want to say thank you to all the people who have listened so far to, I would say season. It's not really, this whole reboot is, I don't know. I don't really do seasons per se. Like each film was its own season. This is a reboot, revamping, whatever, a revisit. That's probably better. It's a revisit to the franchise. Yeah, using the trivia as a template to talk about the movie with different people. This has been a lot of fun. It's sad that First Blood's over again. Now I feel like, yeah, it's sad that because I could talk about this movie just again as I've done with the 4 different guests I've had on. It's just been fun to talk Rambo and to talk about the movie. But unless someone comes up with some sort of idea to have this podcast to keep going, I don't know what it would be. But for now, First Blood is over as far as the film goes, discussing that. We're going to move on to Rambo First Blood Part 2 will be the next episode with my guest. I already have them lined up. I don't want to say who it is just in case it gets rescheduled. But Brent, before we go, let people know where they can find you.
Okay. I'm on Twitter at Brent Allen Ross, and that's Allen, A-L-A-N. So BRENTALANROSS. I'm starting to use Instagram more, and that is BRoss, BROSS 164444. And that goes back to my AOL days. That was my screen name that they picked for me. If anybody wants to shoot me a message or follow, I'll be more than happy to follow you back. We could talk Rambo. I'm all about it.
Awesome. It was an absolute pleasure having you on.
Quick thing.
Yeah.
My band that I was in high school, our first album was called Nothing Is Over. And the quote before the first song is a clip from Rambo going, "Nothing is over. Nothing." And it's pretty cool.
Oh, cool. That's What kind of music did you play?
It was a pop punk, like Blink-182, Green Day inspired type band.
The name of the band was Nothing Is Over?
The band's called United 51. And that's because 51 is 1 card shy of a deck of cards. So that's how we came up with that. And then the album was called Nothing Is Over.
Oh, okay. Is that available anywhere?
I think I have it on my Bandcamp.
Send me the link. I'll use that as a little bit of the outro music.
Nice, dude. Yeah.
Okay. That is really cool, Brent, that you have an album called Nothing Is Over in reference to First Blood. So what I'm going to do for the first time ever, the outro song will not be the classical music that everyone's been hearing at the end of this episode. We're going to play a little snippet of your song from that album so people can hear a little bit of what you did with your friends back in the day. I think that'll be fun to do. But for now, Brent, this episode is over.
Nothing is over. Nothing. You just don't turn it off.
Nothing is over. Nothing. Let me show you a place. Consequence had no meaning in town. The foes are chosen bombs and scars. They live around. Take no pride in themselves. Just are what they are. And I believe I wasn't too far. Well, I pick up my hand, forgetting I'm not well pretend. I go out on Friday night. Someone learn to get into a fight. I'll say for what's right. Your ignorance won't intimidate me. What do people really stand for? I don't know. I'm crossing the lines of every day. I feel saying alone. I'm not really sure. Yes, please.